What are the top 10 mistakes we see immigrants make at their marriage-based green card interview? Hi, I'm Jim Hacking, immigration lawyer practicing law throughout the United States out of our offices in St. Louis, San Diego, and Washington, D.C. If you are getting ready to file for a marriage-based green card case, or if you are getting ready for your interview, you need to watch this video. We made this for you. I've been practicing immigration law for about 16 years now, and in that time, I've been to hundreds of marriage-based green card interviews, and I have distilled down to 10 mistakes that we see immigrants making over and over, and I want to address each of those quickly in this video. I'm only going to talk for a minute or two about each one, and I suspect that for each one, I have a separate video on them, but in this video, I want to compile them all into one concise place so that you have it all at your fingertips. Number one, they don't tell the truth. Immigrants sometimes think they can get away with not telling the truth, or their spouses think, if I tell the truth, my loved one is not going to get their immigration benefit. Do not do this. Always tell the truth. So the biggest mistake immigrants make in their marriage-based green card case is not telling the truth. Always tell the truth. If there's something about the truth that you're concerned about, go see an immigration lawyer before you file or before your interview. Number two, they don't know their dates. Well, what do you mean by this, Jim? Well, you would be surprised how many people, and oftentimes it's the male spouse, one of the male spouses if there's two, who doesn't know the dates. They sometimes say, I'm not good with dates. And I don't mean to generalize based on gender, but oftentimes the females seem to understand and remember dates better than the males. But you can't just say that. You can't just say, oh my, I don't remember, I'm not good with dates. They don't like that. You got to know your spouse's birthday. You got to know the date you were married. You have to know some basic fundamental dates and numbers and information. You have to know your loved one's social security number, your partner's cell phone number. These are all things that you need to know, and that's a big mistake that we see people just not being able to articulate clear answers to questions that should be pretty simple for a married couple. I know all that information about my spouse, and I think most USCIS officers who are married would say they do too, so they are going to expect that to you. Number three, they don't listen to the question. So immigrants oftentimes get nervous, and it's understandable, and they want to just go quickly and get it all over with, and they're not even listening to the question. You really, really need to listen to the question. And sometimes it's a very simple question, and you can answer it that way by just giving a yes or a no. So listen to the question and then try to give a short answer. And that brings us to mistake number four, and that is that people talk too much. You would not believe how, despite me prepping them, despite the other lawyers in my office prepping immigrants and prepping the people that love immigrants, the spouses of immigrants, that they should not talk too much. People talk way, way, way too much. They think if I just explain everything to the immigration officer, everything's going to be fine, and that'll make the interview go a whole lot faster. In fact, it's just the opposite. The more you talk, the more they ask. So always ask yourself, can I answer this truthfully and with a yes or a no? Don't tell big, long stories. Don't treat them like an old college friend. Just answer the question and don't talk too much. Mistake number five, they don't let their spouse answer. They don't let their spouse answer. They try to jump in and save their spouse. And this might be the U.S. citizen jumping in to try to save the foreign spouse, or it might be the foreign spouse trying to jump in to save the green card holding or U.S. citizen spouse. And you don't want to do that. You want to let USCIS and the officer get the information out of the person they want to get it to. You don't want anyone to seem like they're orchestrating or directing traffic or trying to control things. So always let your spouse answer. Always ask the officer to clarify if you can't tell who they want to answer, and let the chips fall where they may. Do not take over the interview. Number six, people go to the interview and they're not organized. You have to be organized. You have to be able to obtain quickly your documents. You need to have your identity documents in one folder, your proof of marriage in another folder, any documents related to any arrest or criminal in another. You need to be able to get those like that. The officer may be typing on their computer, they may be looking around, but at the end of the day, when they ask you for a document, they want you to have it. They don't want you to leave it behind. They don't want you to forget it. They don't want you to have to be fumbling around for 10 minutes or go out to your car or whatever. That's just going to make them mad. The seventh mistake that we see people make all the time is they act weird. Don't act weird. Act like a normal couple. Just be normal. Act like you're going to a job interview. Don't act weird. Just listen to their questions, smile, answer the questions, on to the next one. As I always say, if they ask you 74 questions, you're smiling and ready for question number 75. So don't act weird. Number 8, they try to control the conversation. They think they know where the officer is going, and they try to direct them either away from where they think the officer is going or faster to where they think the officer wants to get to. Here's the thing. These officers have done hundreds and hundreds of these interviews. They know what information they need to approve or deny the case. They don't need you trying to control the conversation. So your job is to listen to the question, answer concisely, and get out of there as fast as you can. That's your job. So don't try to control the conversation. Number 9, it's when they act all lovey-dovey. Oh, baby. Oh, I love you. Oh, rubbing each other's hands, rubbing each other's back. Don't do any of that stuff. Don't do any of that stuff. Act like you would at Sunday dinner. Act like you would at Thanksgiving dinner. Act like you would at church or synagogue or mosque. Don't all be lovey-dovey. Don't all be kissing and smoothing and all that stuff. I once had an officer get really mad about that. So do not do that. And then the last one is they don't write down the officer's name. The 10th biggest mistake we see people make all the time is they don't write down the officer's name. And this is an important one. Sometimes the officer gives you a request for evidence. Sometimes you want to follow up with the officer. So most officers have something on the wall with their name on it, and it's usually just their last name. You want to make sure that you write down their last name. You might think you'll remember it when you get out to the car, but even I've had situations where I didn't remember it when I get to the car, so I always write it down right at the start of the interview. You can take little notes. You can't be taking notes of every single thing that happened, but you can write some things down, and one of the things that you need to write down is the officer's name. We hope you found this video helpful. If you're thinking about filing for an immigration benefit like a green card based on marriage, we would love to help you. We'd love to represent you. We'd love to be your lawyers. Feel free to give us a call if that is the case. If that's something you're actively considering, we'd love to represent you. 314-961-8200. You can email us as well, info@hackingimmigrationlaw.com. If you're just looking for free information, we have some good resources for you there too. Obviously, we have tons and tons of content on our website, www.hackingimmigrationlaw.com. We have our Facebook group, which is called Immigrant Home, and there's thousands of people, almost 10,000 people in there going through the immigration process, talking about that process and trading information about that process in there every day. And then, of course, we have our YouTube channel where you might be watching this YouTube video. We also go live on our YouTube channel answering questions every single week. We try to do it 3 or 4 times a week where people come on for an hour and just ask me questions, and I answer them as concisely and as honestly as I can. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.